Live from Orlando, Florida, you're listening to the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, the voice of Magic fans. Join us every week for a unique fan perspective on all of the latest Magic news and updates. The show starts now.
What's up, Magic fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network and Bet Online. We're your hosts, Al, myself, Anthony. Today is Friday, December 6th, and the Magic are in the NBA Cup quarterfinals. Maybe not the way that we wanted or expected, but we're in it nonetheless. And we're going to talk a little bit in this episode, kind of our thoughts on the Cup. Obviously, that Knicks game was an absolute disaster, but given the circumstances, could have been a lot worse, right? Al, you've been kind of MIA for the last couple of weeks. Al went on vacation, then I went on vacation. Steven stepped in for us. Shout out to you, Steven. And then, with the holiday season, we took a break last week, and we're back in action now. How are you? How you feeling? Welcome back.
Thank you, man. I've missed this. It was fun, man. I think everybody knew that I went to the LA games. Got to go to Mexico right before that. So that was a great time out there with the wife. It was our wedding anniversary. But that Lakers game, man, that was honestly the highlight of the trip, believe it or not. Seeing Franz hit that step back three on the Lakers. You guys all know how much I love LeBron James, right? So the fact that we got to go to a Lakers game and Franz hit a game winner, I think it's probably, believe it or not, I've been to a lot of Magic games. That's probably one of the first game winners I've actually seen live, like an actual three-pointer game winner. So that was awesome, man. But shout out to Lakers fans, man. The Lakers fans that we see here in Orlando, a bit kind of on the Knicks side where they kind of rub you off the wrong way. Really cool LA fans out there. They were high-fiving me when Franz hit that shot, giving props to the young Magic team. So that was great to see. But overall, man, I'm doing good. How about you? How was the trip to North Carolina for you and the family?
Yeah, so it was good. It was well needed. Different scenery, 100% from kind of how Orlando is. It's way colder weather, even though it has been a little cold here in Orlando. Being in the Carolinas, man, it's always it's a beautiful scenery. Like it felt like Thanksgiving. My kids got to run around, got to be with some family. So it was good, well needed trip. And it felt like it flew by. But man, we're getting closer and closer to where we're jumping into now December, where we're expecting to see Paolo Banchero kind of come back here shortly soon. Like we've been getting some really good reports about how he's feeling, and we didn't think we'd see him at all in December. When we last talked about this, we talked about him coming back in January. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in today's episode. We mentioned we're going to talk about that Knicks game. We'll talk a little bit more about the NBA Cup and some injury updates. But before we get into any of that, just a quick word from our sponsors, Bet Online. Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC, head to Bet Online today, and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. And so, heads, it's that time of the year, and Brandon Kravitz is partnering with the Hourglass Brewing in downtown Orlando for an epic holiday celebration. It's a re-release of Zoneheads 35 with that classic Magic pinstripe look. It's a delicious IPA that beer enthusiasts and Magic fans alike will absolutely love. Head to Hourglass Brewing on Curry Ford Road Friday, December 20th for the official release, and hang out with Brandon Kravitz and the crew starting at 6 p.m. Also, all new episodes of the Zoneheads podcast with Brandon and his new co-host Zach are available whenever you download your favorite podcast. And catch BK live on In the Zone weekdays on 96.9 The Game starting at 3:30 p.m. So, Al, we've kind of missed a few games since we last recorded with Steven. And the Magic, they've continued their streak, right? So Since we last recorded with Steven, the Magic went 5-1. Big win against Hornets, Bulls, Nets twice, lost against the Knicks, and then beating the 76ers most recently. Al, talk to me. From this stretch, what has impressed you the most? And then give me your feelings on the Orlando Magic showing on national television against the Knicks.
I guess let's start with the bad news, right? Let's start with that Knicks game. Unfortunately, not what we wanted to see, right? It was a game that meant something, right? Had we won that game, it would have been the winner of the Group A and had home court advantage heading into the NBA Cup quarterfinals next week. Unfortunately, a complete no-show. And it's unfortunate, man, because last year we played against OKC on TNT and we laid an egg on that game. And then the Knicks came now on TNT once again, and we get blown out most of the game, trailing by 30 points or more. So unfortunately, we got to shake that up, man. We are wanting respect from the league. We're wanting respect from national television. And when we get it, even though they removed us from the game and they gave it back to us, and even then we laid an egg again in that performance against the Knicks. So it wasn't what we wanted, but turning into the positives, the defense, man. The defense has been ridiculous for the Magic during this stretch. I remember me and you talking about, Paolo going down and what are the Magic going to do? It's going to get ugly with the schedule that we had. And we look back at that now, the Magic have won 13 of 15 games in that stretch without Paolo. Franz has been truly a all-star, a all-NBA player, one of the best defensive players in the league. Who would have thought, man? Like, Franz struggled early on in the season. We had people complaining about his contract and how did he get a max contract? He didn't deserve it. Fast forward now to December 5th that we're recording this episode, and this kid is looking like a superstar. So I think when you ask me what's impressed me the most, of course, the defense has been ridiculous. The least amount of points scored allowed of any teams in the league. That's Orlando Magic. And again, Franz has been out of this world. So that to me is what stood out. That has been the difference maker without Paolo. And man, we got to continue with those same two things being key for us until he gets back in order to get as many wins as possible, because the schedule does get tough here in December. But yeah, that's my perspective. What about you? What's impressed you the most?
Yeah, so just to kind of touch on that Knicks game real quick, I think the part that's frustrating is, I was saying you kind of already touched base on it, but this was a game that they took away from us. And then they gave it back to us because the Magic, obviously were winning and, getting a lot of traction. A lot of people were talking about us, and Franz has been playing really good basketball. So I guess we were worthy enough to be on TV again. And then we get on national television, and it was just rough from beginning to end. It looked like the Magic were we came out strong and kind of punched them in the mouth a bit from behind the 3-point line, and then we just kind of overdid it, and it just kind of hurt us. Obviously, this was a game that we were kind of out of our funk also because Goga was out. He wasn't playing. He was a last-minute scratch. So we were really overpowered by the New York Knicks. Yeah, so when you ask me, like, what impressed me the most, obviously you can point at Franz, right? He's been averaging, 27 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, almost 2 steals. This is someone that's talked about, in the national media so much. He's been bringing in so much attention. He's obviously played way better than anyone expected. I don't care who you are and how high you are on Franz. You were worried. That's just the honest truth, right? So Franz has been carrying such a heavy load for us, and you only pray and hope that once Paulo returns, he can still carry, at least a balanced level of that momentum. But the person that impressed me the most, it's got to be KCP. KCP, he's turned it around. He's really struggled the very beginning of the season. And you kind of felt like, dude, we spent this money. We brought you in. We brought you in for shooting. Where is that at? But I think the one thing that you can look at KCP and saying, like, his defense by itself is never faltered. It's always been there. No matter how bad the shooting was, he was still a player that was a huge upgrade from Gary Harris, right? And Wendell Carter Jr. even said this in one of his interviews where he says, once KCP shot starts falling, the floodgates are going to open. He opens up so much more opportunity for everyone. So just in the last 5 games, KCP is averaging 15 points per game, shooting 56% from the field and 50% from the 3-point line. He's made 18 3-point field goals in this stretch, which is more than the 17 he's made in the first 18 games of the season. Like, this is huge for us. This is the defining factor. This is somebody that has won championships, with the best in the league, with Denver and with LA. Like, this is big deal, and the Magic need this, and they need it from him, especially during a time where Suggs has been struggling and we're without Paulo. Like, Franz can't do it alone, and we've never expected KCP to come out and drop 25, 30 points, but to be a defensive menace that he is. And to see him being able to be reliable from the 3-point line has been so huge for us. So huge. And, that to me now, it feels, because even when KCP, when he shoots his shot, even during the stretch where he was shooting pretty bad, you still thought those shots were going in. They were really, really good looks. Now they're going in. It's been such a huge factor for us. Another thing that you can kind of point at is Wendell coming back from his injury and Coach Mo's making the decision to play them together in the lineup. This is something that you and I, we talked about previously in the podcast, and people in the comments were kind of like, oh, they can't play together. Why would Coach Mos do that? And boom, he decided to do it. We're like, it's like Coach Mos was listening to us for a second. But tell me, what were your thoughts on deciding to put Wendell and Goga in the starting lineup to play together?
Well, I mean, I think it makes sense, right? You want to put out there the best players. At this moment, Wendell's a more complete player than Tristan da Silva is. Tristan's doing a great job out there, but Wendell, bigger body, can rebound better, more experienced. And truly, we've said it all along, he's more of a 4 than a 5. So this gives him a chance to go back to the 4 position where he's a little bit more comfortable. So I like the move. It was a gutsy move, but I'm glad that Coach Mosley has done it. It's looked really well so far, so no complaints there. It's just funny to see the debates, on X, on Instagram, Magic fans debating between, who's the better center, who should keep their role once Paulo comes back. Should that be Goga? Should that be Wendell? And we can talk about that if you want to, but I mean, together, they look good. They look really solid. Once Paulo gets back, that's the big question mark. What does Coach Mosley do at that point? Because that's going to be a tough decision. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah, I think that, if Wendell can continue to be healthy, you bring Paulo back, I can see a world where, Coach Mos does bring the original starting lineup back in where Wendell is starting at the 5 alongside Paulo Banchero. But in my opinion, you have to entertain it at some point. Like, not looking at stats, not looking at any analytics, none of that. Just looking straight, utilizing your eyes, the eye test, right? Goga just does so many things that you want your center to do on a day in and day out basis. Rim protection, rebounding, taking advantage of those trash plays where, the play goes off, but he's able to grab a quick rebound and get a quick bucket for you. Like, these are all things that you want your center to be able to do. And, fortunately, Wendell, he does a lot of good things, but he's just undersized at the 5 position. And in the NBA, man, especially the way that we play and kind of, what we hang our hat on, like we take advantage of our size, and being able to have a big 7-footer like Goga helps with that, right? So I don't know. I think it's a good problem to have, but you expected Wendell. He's obviously been dealing with injuries, but you expected for him to do so much more for us, during this stretch that he has been playing, to be able to help, Franz Wagner out, and we just haven't seen it as much as we've seen the production from Goga. So when you take a look at our bench unit, kind of pushing it forward a little bit, but what have your thoughts been on Tristan da Silva so far? This is a player that we kind of expected was going to get a ton of playing time, not necessarily a ton of playing time, but we expected for him to play more than the Jet Howards, right? We expected him to be able to contribute right away because he was a seasoned rookie. So what have been your thoughts on Tristan da Silva so far? Cole Anthony also still continuing to struggle. Had a couple DMPs. Jonathan Isaac, Anthony Black. Well, what have your thoughts been on our bench?
Yeah, I think Tristan, man, he's been a surprising addition to the team. I think we all knew he was a solid pickup in the sense that he's a 4-year college. Didn't seem to make a lot of mistakes, whether it was in preseason or summer league. He looked composed. He knew what he was doing. So we always felt like Coach Mosley loved those type of players that go out there, play hard, play solid defense, don't make mistakes. To this day, he reminds me a lot of Franz, like that rookie season Franz, where he just plays solid, plays his game, does not do too much. He knows what his role is, doesn't complain when he doesn't get playing time, but when he does, he takes advantage of it. So been really impressed with him. I'm kind of glad in a way that all this stuff is shaking up the way it has, and he's getting the time to play, get some minutes as a starter as well. We're seeing more and more of him and what he can contribute to this team, not only now, but also in the future. So with him, super impressed what he's done so far. The rest of the bench, I mean, Anthony Black has been impressive. I do want him to be aggressive. There was a few games there where he kind of stopped being aggressive offensively, wasn't looking for his shot as much, but he actually did so last night against 76ers. Had probably one of his best games in the recent stretch that we've had. So I think the key for him is going to be aggressive and look for his shot, not be shy. We need him to be an offensive-minded point guard. We need him to be aggressive at all times. Lastly, when you talk about Cole Anthony, man, I feel bad because there are moments, and he had a game recently where he looked really good against the Hornets, and we're like, hey, he's back. And since then, he's barely played. So there's something going on that we are not aware of. I know the defense hasn't been where it needs to be. Offensively, he's struggled badly out there. But man, I just can't think that a guy that's been in the league 4 years all of a sudden cannot get playing time. Like, I don't understand what's going on there. I hope he finds it because I do miss Cole out there, man. The energy that he brings, the passion. He's such a great teammate. Like, even now that he's not playing, you see him on the bench. He's the first one to get up and high-five his teammates. He's always cheering on the bench. So that's never going to change with Cole. But I can tell you, man, you're a basketball player. His 5th year in the league. He wants to be out there competing with his guys and helping them win games. So hopefully he finds a way to get back on the rotation. Because right now I don't see what's going on. I don't understand it. So that's my thoughts on the bench. What about you? What are your thoughts on Tristan and the rest of the guys on the second unit?
Yeah, I mean, how can you be mad at the production that Tristan gives you? I think that anything that he gives you it feels like a freebie because you weren't really expecting for him to contribute to winning as much as he is. And he's a big factor into what we're doing. So I love what I've seen from him. It's consistent. And what I love the most is that what we got in the summer league is what we're getting right now. Like he makes good decisions. He makes efficient decisions. And he doesn't try too hard. He doesn't force anything. He just kind of plays within the system, and it's been great for us. And to kind of touch on Cole Anthony, it's such a tough position, man, because I can only imagine how he feels, right? This is somebody that is a big part of what we're trying to do. This is somebody that we've looked at as being our offensive power off the bench. This is somebody that views himself as a starter in this league. And this year has just been tough for him from start to finish. Like there's been a couple bright spots where, the old Cole Anthony was there, but outside of that, it's been tough. But I think the one thing that you can be impressed by him, and you already mentioned a little bit, is that you can't see it on his face. Like you still see that he's excited for his teammates. He's still like their biggest cheerleader off the bench. And then during the interviews, man, he's being honest. He's being transparent. He knows that he's not playing good. He's not blaming the coach. He's not blaming anybody. He's taking full accountability. So from a mental standpoint, he's exactly what you want in a person that's in that position. But eventually, my dog gotta shake that off because we need that help from the bench. Like the Magic have a top 5 bench scoring, and it's being led by Mo Wagner, which is great, and we love that production from him. But Mo can't do it by himself, you know. Tristan, eventually he's going to end up falling back into that bench unit. Well, has already done that with Wendell being back, but you know, our bench unit last season was one of the best in the NBA, and it was because a big part of that was because of Cole Anthony, and we this team needs that. When Paulo Banchero is out, when you know, Franz Wagner is out, like we need to be able to have somebody that we can rely on, and I feel like that's a missing element. We shouldn't have to, and this is the biggest thing. Like, I love Anthony Black, but why are we relying on Anthony Black so much in the second unit? That should be Cole Anthony. He's now getting into a point where he's now starting to become that veteran type player. So I'm not sure what it really is, but you have hopes that eventually he's going to figure it out, and eventually it's going to start clicking for him. But yeah, man, it's been really rough for him, and it's been a tough watch, because Cole Anthony is a player that people root for. He makes it so easy for people to root for, and there's moments in the game where you just, yeah, you're trying to fight for him, and it's been more difficult than it is otherwise.
So let me ask you that. So as a fan watching the games, I know me and you, we watch every game. What are you seeing from Cole Anthony that's making you understand why Coach Mosley is not playing him? From your perspective, what is he not doing, or what is he doing too much of that's made him now be a third stringer on this team?
It's production, like, and you can kind of see the confidence as well a little bit. Like, Jett Howard comes in the game, you know he's slinging it, right? There's a confidence to it. And this is somebody that doesn't expect to play at all. And I think that with Cole Anthony, he's started the season already playing bad. But now there's an inconsistency of what to expect on a day-to-day basis. Before, he knew exactly when he was coming into the game, when he was going to play his role, and you had that expectation no matter what happens every single game. This is my time to be able to play, to produce, to contribute. Now he doesn't have that. Now it's, if he gets in the game early, it's because somebody's in foul trouble and we need him in the game, right? But even then, his shots aren't falling like that. It seems like he's trying to force a bit. We're not getting the Cole Anthony that we're used to getting, and honestly, it's making me uncomfortable. Like, I'm uncomfortable for him, because if you played the sport at all, not everyone has always had a successful stretch, right? There's always that moments where you just can't get out of your funk. I've gone through it myself. I've had friends that have played at a higher level that they've shared their experience of being in the exact same thing, and it's not a fun space to be in, and it can easily, tear you up in your head and become more of a mental block more so than anything. And to me, it's kind of what it looks like. It looks like Cole Anthony is more in his head now than ever. Not saying that he is, just what it looks like from my perspective. You really hope that he finds a way to shake that off, because this team needs him. Like, and you feel like you wish that during this stretch that Paulo Banchero is out, that Cole Anthony was able to fill that void, at least from an offensive output, and we just haven't seen it.
And it's just crazy too. Like, on the TNT broadcast against the Knicks, they were highlighting like the key moves, the great moves that the front office has made in recent years. And they listed Cole Anthony being drafted by the Orlando Magic. So I think even the national TV people that don't watch the Magic every day, they still think that Cole Anthony is that guy that he has been for us the last couple of years, that's bringing, scoring 15 points off the bench any given night. And unfortunately, that is not the case. So I'll give you my take on it. I definitely agree with you. I think it's a confidence thing for sure. He looks sometimes just desperate / lost out there. Like, he doesn't know where he's supposed to be or what his role truly is right now. And I think that all starts with him. I think we talked about this on the last episode that we recorded together. The fact that he's no longer the ball handler off the bench. That's now AB. And I don't think Cole Anthony has ever been a shooting guard of sorts in any role that he's played in college, high school, middle school, AAU. I think he's always been a point guard. So now all of a sudden we're telling him, hey, go out there. AB's the point guard. Go in the corner. We'll find you. And I think he's struggling big time with that. because again, he just doesn't seem comfortable. Right now, we don't have Gary Harris, and you would think, okay, well, the bench is going to be Cole Anthony, AB, Mo Wagner, J.I., whoever else. No, he's not getting minutes, even with Gary Harris not in the rotation right now. So when he gets back at some point, where's Cole going to fit into all this? And, I ask all this because it is December 5th. So trade season officially starts December 15th. And then the next 2 months, it's all about rumors again. It's unfortunate, man. But if you're the Orlando Magic, the front office did say one thing. We want to evaluate this team and we will make moves depending how the season goes. Well, guess what, man? Without Paolo, with the third seed in the East, we're playing extremely well. And one constant thing is the issue. We are 30th out of 30 teams in the NBA in three-point shooting. So that still needs to get addressed. We need more offense. We need more scoring. At some point, that consolidation trade has to happen. And it's going to have to happen at some point, man, because the Magic have done their part. They're winning games. And I just wonder, is Cole Anthony going to be part of that package? There's just no value for him right now, though, I feel like, unless it's a team that's just losing games like the Wizards, the Nets. They may not want to win the many games. So do they take him on just for the potential that he has? So it's intriguing, man. But I do hope he finds it, because when Cole Anthony's playing at his level, averaging 12 to 15 points a game off the bench, hitting threes, we are our best. Let's not lie about that. And I would love to see him play over a guy like Gary Harris. Let's be honest. Like, if he can find his rhythm, I would love to see Cole Anthony out there more than Gary Harris. But at this moment, we can't say that.
Yeah, and not just his scoring, man, his rebounding too. For him being such an undersized guard, his ability to out rebound other players is such a huge add for what he's able to bring to the floor. But yeah, man, trade season kind of scares me a little bit, because I'm not ready to give up on Cole Anthony. I don't think anyone really is. But even if you decided to, look to see if you can improve your team, Cole Anthony right now, from a value standpoint, you're not getting anything back for Cole Anthony unless the team is looking for, can look at Cole Anthony's situation and say, maybe it's not being played in the best situation for him, or the best scenario. But does his contract make a contract? Does his contract make a trade work? It's so many different factors, but I think it's still way too early for that. This front office also, I can see a world where they don't make any trades. Like they just kind of run to see, because just to kind of add to that, it's like the Magic haven't had a chance to see what this team really looks like, because Paolo Banchero got hurt so early on. So it is important for him to get back when healthy as soon as possible, so that the front office can really have a good collection of data with this group. But man, I do hope Cole Anthony can figure it out sooner rather than later, because the Magic got a big game coming up against the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Cup quarterfinals. So kind of transitioning into the NBA Cup, what are your thoughts on facing the Milwaukee Bucks? This game will also be on TNT, so another nationally televised game for the Magic. But what are your thoughts on that matchup?
Man, it's gonna be tough. The Bucks have found their rhythm. They've won a lot of games recently. Dame, Giannis are playing really well. They're getting Chris Middleton back as well, I think, tonight. So he's going to be available for that game more than likely. It's going to be a tough game, man. Let's not lie about that. We will need our defense to be solid. We'll need J.I. to be healthy, to play a lot of minutes against Giannis, or as many as possible at least. And we'll need Franz to be special, which thankfully he's played really well against the Bucks in the past. So hopefully that continues in that game. But, man, we made it. When you first showed me the schedule for the NBA Cup, who we lined up with in our groups, and we saw the Knicks, Philly, I'm like, man, that's going to be rough to make it past and get into the quarterfinals. So the fact that we made it to the quarterfinals is a huge success for our team without Paolo, out of all things. So we'll take it. Just go out there, play hard, man, and let the chips fall where they may. But it's a tough matchup. Again, they're playing well. And that curse of playing on national television, especially on TNT, worries me a little bit. Hopefully, after the spanking that we took to the Knicks, it's a wake-up call and they show up better and give us a better game against the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you asked for. Like, this is what has made the in-season tournament, the NBA Cup, a fan favorite now, because you're getting meaningful games in December. This is a time where it's people are worried about the holidays and people are worried about whatever, and these guys are playing even more like value in these games to really compete. And I'll take all the experience for that now, because come postseason, we're gonna need all of that to kind of string together and help us overcome, getting past this first round. But I like the Bucks matchup, and we've talked about this before. This stretch, right, that we've been without Paulo. There is, although we've won the games, and I'm happy that we won the games. One can say that there's a lot of asterisk there, right? Where we playing teams who are also missing a lot of talent. Not to take anything away from the Orlando Magic, because we're missing our guy Paolo Banchero as well. But obviously when you play against the Philadelphia 76ers and they don't have Paul George and Joel Embiid, it kind of evens the playing field a little bit. So I think that this is going to be a really good challenge. I think that Knicks game, if for any competitor, right, for them to get kind of stomped on the way that we did, I'm sure that the Magic, they're itching to get their get back, and this is the best way to be able to do that is a meaningful game against the Bucks on TNT, and another nationally televised game where you're able to showcase, okay, we played a bad game. That was just one bad game. Let us really show you what we're able to do. And I think that this is the best opportunity for it. But yeah, man, it's Franz is going to have a all-star level game. Jalen Suggs, man, we need him. His defense, his offensive power, his shooting. So hopefully he can kind of get that rhythm back a little bit, because it has felt like it faded away. But it's going to be a good test for the Magic. It was cool seeing an interview recently where Franz Wagner was speaking to a reporter, and Coach Mose was coming from behind, and he was kind of screaming to the camera, all-star him, right? Which is huge coming from your coach. You have that level of support that's kind of reinforcing your confidence. And I say that just to kind of throw shade at Shaquille O'Neal, who was saying that no coach can instill confidence in you. He was talking a lot of smack to his panel on during halftime. But I do believe that a coach is able to give you confidence, and I think that Coach Mose has done that for Franz Wagner, especially in the absence of Paolo Banchero. And I feel like this is an even more opportunity for Franz to be able to showcase his ability to really push that all-star agenda.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, anytime you get on national television and have a big game, that's what you need to get people taking notice of what you can do out there. But let me ask you, who do you think are going to be the key players in that game against the Bucks? So we know Franz, of course, is the one guy, right? We need him to be big and to score as many as possible. But outside of Franz, who do you think is going to be a key contributor for us to have a chance in that game?
At KCP, I mentioned there earlier, Dame is going to be someone that will be very, very tough to be able to slow down, and you can't just rely on Jalen Suggs to be able to do that all by himself. It's going to have to be a mix of Jalen Suggs and KCP. I do believe that Jalen Suggs, you're going to be able to find that consistency from him, but KCP being able to knock down those shots is what allows for the floor to be stretched out and allows for Franz Wagner to have the move, to have the space to be able to take it to the basket, to be able to do his Euro step in transition, to be able to play as open as he does. KCP is a big factor for that. And if they can hit shots, and here's my thing. When I say hit shots, I don't expect for the Magic just to shoot threes, because that's not what I mean by it. Because we saw what that looked like against the Knicks early on, where they hit a couple, they got a little confident, and that's kind of what we relied on in the first quarter. And we did not shoot great from behind the 3-point line. But if we're able to move the basketball around and look at open shots, and be efficient with those, I think that goes a long way, because that's what allows for there to be so much more space. So, again, another game that I'm looking at KCP to be a catalyst for us, to where, if he can have a good game, a good 15 to 16 point game when he's shooting, more than 40%, at least a minimum of 35%, then the Magic are in a good position, because then that means we're having a good shooting night.
Yeah, I like the way you're thinking there. I think, to your point also earlier about Jalen Suggs, I think he needs to just simply hit shots or be aggressive. Like, even when he goes to the basket, finish those layups. But we definitely need those guys, the guards, step up and help out defensively big time on Lillard, on Middleton. And then, like I said earlier, I think Jai is a guy that needs to play as much as possible, maybe 25 minutes that game, as much as possible when Giannis in the court. Try to match him up against J.I., because he's done really well in the past defending him. He added some weight now, so it should be a little bit easier to stand there. Never easy to guard Giannis, but with the added weight, should make it a little bit easier. But I think defensively, as we all know, that's the Magic's number one thing. That's what they do best. If they can, contain at least Lillard, Middleton, and Giannis some way, somehow, we may have a chance to win that game. Now, if we win that game, we go to Vegas, we go to the semifinals, and then we got to see what happens with the Knicks and Hawks game. But that would be fun to see this team go to Vegas. I'm really hoping, man, they can make that happen. It would be big for the confidence of this team. I know many vets teams, which, hey, Milwaukee's a veteran team, may not care as much about this game. But I think a young team like the Hawks, the Magic, they really see this as a little bit of a preview for the playoffs. I can see, again, the Magic performing well on Tuesday and stealing that game and winning in Milwaukee. So hopefully that's what we see. Hopefully take it more seriously. And hopefully, for our sakes, on national television, we can make up for that bad showing against the New York Knicks.
Yeah, and what good practice do we have then tonight going against, the Philadelphia 76ers, who the expectation is that Paul George and Joel Embiid play. So that would be a good practice to be able to play against a talented team once they're fully healthy. And then Sunday, the Magic got the Suns without Kevin Durant. And then Tuesday, the Magic will face against Milwaukee for the NBA Cup quarterfinals. So a lot of good, exciting Magic basketball coming up. We'll see what the Magic end up doing there. And hopefully we continue this good long stretch of wins. And the more wins that we rack up while Paolo Banchero is away, the better position the Magic will ultimately be in the long run. So exciting stuff, man. Any last thoughts that you want to get out about the Magic?
So let me get your predictions for the week ahead. So we don't know if we play next Friday yet. That only happens if we beat Milwaukee, or next Saturday. So we won't get to that one yet. But actually, quick clarification too. Embiid was actually ruled out of tomorrow's game. So he actually will not be playing tonight against the Magic. So only Paul George to worry about, which, hey, it'll be difficult for sure having Maxey, him, and McCain out there. So we got to come prepared. So what are your predictions for this week ahead?
I'm going Magic beat Sixers. The last time that we played against the Suns, I believe Bradley Beal is back. So the last time we played against the Suns, it was no Bradley Beal. So the Suns are going to be a little more difficult. I'll say Magic beat Sixers. We lose against the Suns, and then we beat Milwaukee, and that's more of a homer prediction.
I like it. You know what? I was thinking the same thing. I think it's tough with Philadelphia to beat a team twice. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I think we lose against Philly. I think we beat the Suns with no KD. I think that our guards, KCP and Suggs will do a good job handling Booker and Beal. And then I agree with you. The homer in me will say that we beat Milwaukee and we advance to the semifinals. So 2-1 for us. And hopefully a semifinal trip to Vegas next week.
I like it. Speak it to existence. That's a wrap for us. Shows presented by Bet Online, and we'll catch you guys next week.
For all the latest Magic news and updates, visit OrlandoMagicHQ.com and follow us on Instagram at OrlandoMagicHQ and on Twitter at OMagicHQ. Also, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your favorite listening platform.